Hey everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. I'm here with Laura Heck. Today's a good one. We're talking about a fight that I had with my wife. Well, at least the aftermath of the fight, which for me was the best part. And I think there's a lot to learn. There was for me. I hope there will be for you. We're releasing this episode early July. It's about to be the 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. It's an incredible time to be alive in America right now. I hope you're paying attention. Some of you have already decided what you're going to do in November. You're clear about your choice. For those of you who are not clear about your choice, I hope that you will pay attention. These next few months are going to be full of information and opportunity to evaluate what's the next best thing for us. My position is clear. I think for those of you whose position is clear, go ahead, be in your clear position. For those of you who are not, particularly if you live in a swing state, I hope that you will take the time to understand what's going on and what the implications are, and that you'll make a wise and sober choice in the fall. We don't talk a lot about politics on here, but we do talk a lot about conflict and what it means to seek rational, reasonable solutions in the midst of differences that you may have. That's what this episode is about. This episode is about just trying to figure out how to come together in the midst of a moment when Rebecca and I were not on the same page at all. And I didn't behave in the best way that I knew how. But I learned a lot. We learned a lot. We grew a lot. Laura and I talk about it today. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around.
Hiya.
How's it going?
Good. I'm going to do this intro because I do appreciate it if this is your first time joining us.
And I hope it is. I hope we have new listeners. I would appreciate all of our old listeners. But if you are joining us for the first time.
Yeah. I'm Laura Heck. I am a couples therapist, sex therapist, certified Gottman therapist, and I'm living in Bend, Oregon with my family. Zach is the male voice. He is my buddy. We have been friends for, I don't know. Do you remember what year? 10 years. All right. We've been friends for 10 years.
I think I took that level 1 in 13.
That couldn't have been a level 1.
No, level 3 in 13.
Yeah. Okay. So a little over 10 years. I took my first level 1 in 2004. So it took me 10 years to take. You have been around. Zach and I met while we were in Seattle, and both therapists attending a professional training that I was a paid employee to help host. So I was hosting the training. Zach was attending the training, and then we became friends. And from there, our relationship evolved into a lot like what therapists do. They consult on cases with one another. So it's just helpful to get an outsider point of view. It keeps us ethical. And so Zach and I started consulting pretty quickly after that, just meeting together, having an IPA in a busy restaurant, and then kind of talking about what it's like to be a therapist. And sometimes, I'm going to let you introduce yourself in a second, but sometimes it feels really good to not talk about your clients, but to talk about the experience of what it's like to be a therapist. And so that's where our relationship evolved, and that's where the podcast evolved, is that you get to kind of listen to what that experience is like for two therapists to consult on what they're seeing. So without further ado, Zach Brittle.
Yeah, no, that's fun. That was like 10 years ago. And we would just kind of get together and hang out. And I think the reason you're telling people this is that we did that right before we got on. We had like one of our old school consultations about some clients. And we just were batting ideas around because of what are we supposed to do. And
there's some things that we will share on the podcast, and there's some very specific things that do not feel like, one, it's just unethical to talk about our clients on the podcast. And I just needed some very specific guidance of kind of like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Am I missing anything? Which is really helpful.
Yeah. So, and I'm in Seattle. So we just hop on every Thursday morning and we talk to each other about whatever's on our mind. And sometimes we talk about nothing, which we did last week.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. Edna was like, yeah, you guys were not really talking about anything, but at least you were aware of it. I was like, thanks. That's pretty cool. I get like a live review every other week from.
I bet. And he's like, do you have a cold? Why are you sounding so snotty?
How was your trip? How was your?
Yeah. Are you going to introduce yourself too?
Didn't you already introduce me? I'm Zach. Yeah, I live in Seattle. I'm also a certified Gottman therapist. I'm also in private practice with couples. I'm what's called a relational life therapist, certified relational life therapist.
He has 2 older daughters.
I got 2 adulting daughters. That's what I like to say.
Adulting. Yeah.
Which means I sometimes I feel like I have 3 wives. That's my favorite joke to make. I was giving a talk last week, and I gave everybody like the heads up that I have 3 wives. And then this one couple came in maybe like 10 minutes late. And a little bit later, I revisited the joke, and I was like, and that's how I do it with my 3 wives. And this lady was like, wait, who are you? You have 3 wives? What's the deal here? One of them's 17. And I was like, oh, sorry. And then the whole room was like, yeah, we got a polygamist, minor
awesome.
marrier.
That's awesome. Cool.
I'm going to tell you about one of them today, though.
One of your wives?
Yeah. Well, my actual wife, my 50-year-old wife.
Does she know that you're going to talk about her?
She does. I mean, listen, Rebecca's always the hero of all my stories, so she doesn't really mind when I talk about her because, although, did I tell you this? Like, we got in a pretty big fight. I think you were gone, but we had one of our like bigger fights. I would say.
Will you remember it 5-10 years from now? That type of fight?
I think so, okay. But not because of what happened during the fight, but because of what happened after the fight. So that's actually the thing I want to kind of.
It's the name of a book, by the way. After the fight,
people.
Go on.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Who wrote it?
Pretty sure John and Julie Gottman after the fight.
Did they really?
No?
After the fight?
Hold on. Let me Google this. After the fight. No, it was Dan Weil.
Oh,
Using your disagreements to build a stronger relationship. No wonder I thought it was John and Julie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but anyway, what's going on with you? What's new? What are you doing?
Well, I'm reignited on my training for the half Ironman. And actually,
did you train at all on vacation?
Did I train?
Did you do anything? Did you go for a run one morning or something? Or?
Yeah, not like I have been forbidden. I mean, I think my dad would probably, if he knew, or my mom, if they knew I was running in a foreign country by myself, they would disown me. So it was actually too hot to run anyway, and there was nowhere to run. Like, where do you run in Santorini? You're like either through alleyways or you're on a back of an animal. So I ran on the cruise ship, but I started lifting. It's really interesting. My body has shifted in just doing endurance sports. And I really, truly believe, like, if you want actual shape and you want to look good, you have to lift weights. So I am getting back on the weight training bus. I did squats yesterday. I'm moaning and groaning like an old woman getting up and down, which is really weird because I'm in pretty good shape right now. I've been doing a lot of like my endurance sports and just the act of doing, I'm telling you, it was like 110 pounds I was squatting. It was nothing. It was like the bar, that isn't even 110 pounds. That's 80 pounds. I don't even know. It was nothing. And my ass is on fire. It hurts so bad. So anyway,
I hate lifting weights so much. I hate it so much. Yeah. I hate it.
I love it.
Last week we were talking about going slow to go fast and how you got to like do the small, slow, steady work. And I hate that so much. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe that makes me a hypocrite or something. And even if the results aren't there, like I'll get on my Peloton and at least I'm like sweating and I hurt a little bit and I'm like, I did something. But when I lift weights, I feel like, what is this for? And what is it going to, and this isn't work. And I don't know, man. And stretching. I hate lifting weights and stretching.
Okay. Well, when you come to Bend, when we do our workshop together, yes, I'm going to take you to the gym because I want to see what you're doing. If you're lifting weights in the gym and you're contemplating, what is this for? You're not doing it right. I imagine you have 3-pound weights.
I will not be doing that when I come to Bend. In fact, I was thinking we need to schedule now our foot massage, so we're not scheduling it at the last minute. Because
that's true.
I will not be lifting weights, but I will sit in a chair while someone rubs my feet for an hour.
All right, fair enough. That wouldn't be the first time that we've gone and like done pedicure, foot massage-y stuff. Yeah. But here's what I was going to tell you. Today. I moved my Ironman from Wisconsin to Washington, which means
that's good.
You can come and hold a sign and cheer me on.
Where is it?
It's in the Tri-Cities. It's in Richland, Washington.
Oh, it's too far.
It's only a 4-hour drive for you.
No, sorry.
Are you sure you don't want to see me come out of the lake?
Maybe. It depends on what it is. I have an unbelievably busy fall. It is insane how much I am traveling this fall. And I looked at my calendar, like I mapped it out. I think if there's 8 weekends in the fall, I'm on the road 6 of them. It's bonkers. Yeah. And some of that is work and some of that is pleasure. But I'm traveling a lot. It's crazy.
Okay.
So wait, when's your marathon?
There is one weekend, it's September 22nd. There is one weekend in there on a Sunday where I will be swimming, biking, and running. And if you wanted to come, you would probably be joining my entire family and friendship network. Hot moms will be there.
You know what?
What?
That's actually doable.
Yeah.
September 22nd, is that a Sunday?
It is.
Yeah. So I'm in Boise that weekend, but I come home on Saturday.
Okay. Well, if you're in Boise, maybe you could drive from Boise.
Sure. To I'll just drive.
Richland.
I'll just drive halfway across the Pacific Northwest. Just, and then you'll finish your triathlon and I'll drive another 4 hours home before I start my work day on Monday.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
I don't know. Maybe I'll do that.
Okay.
It's probably not going to do that, but I will be with you in spirit.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fight that you had with Rebecca. Now I'm intrigued. Anybody else intrigued when you hear about, by the way, this is one of my favorite things that Brene Brown has ever put out is listening to her talk about the fights that she and her husband had, which I just think is so cool. Did you know that her husband had an affair?
I don't know. I don't really remember. I don't listen to Brene Brown.
That's unfortunate. I really enjoy her work.
I only accidentally listened to her once. You know who's everywhere now too? Kim Kardashian. So I need a new
because
thing.
You heard her voice for the first time? Okay.
Hey, you know what else happened? This is another thing that happened.
Yes.
I would say like on my list of things, like things that are things. Another thing is I had never, ever watched a single episode of The Simpsons from start to finish.
Oh,
Never. I hadn't until this year. Abby, my older daughter, is in a play in the fall, and it's got a Simpsons sort of theme. It's got a Simpsons spine to it, I guess is the way that you would say that.
Okay.
So she's like binging The Simpsons this summer, and it's just on in our house all the time. So now we're watching it. But I was like, there's another one of my things that just went away. Now I've watched The Simpsons, which is
now you've seen it. I grew up on The Simpsons, and I remember my mom not liking
so much.
It was, but my dad loved it, and my parents weren't together, and so when you're in a divorced family, you hear the things that your ex partner is doing with the kids. And it just used to drive my mom nuts. We'd come home and she'd be like, "What'd you do?" And we were like, "Oh, we watched The Simpsons." And it would just make her skin crawl. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Let's talk about something valuable.
Well, I don't know how valuable this is going to be. I know Edna liked it when I told her about it. And so, but I actually want to sort of see what you think, because there's something in here that was new for us. So a little more background on me. Is I am super defensive. Like it's hardwired into my body. It is the way that I sort of naturally respond to things. If Laura and I are walking around and we go outside and she says, "It's hot out here," my body will say, "It's not that hot."
Not that hot.
I just sort of immediately, as a way of being alive on the planet, sort of refute and reject things that come into my body. When I was younger, that helped me in a lot of ways protect myself from, a dad who was big and loud and mean. As I got older, I sort of continued to invest in that strategy until my wife one day, about 20 years ago, said, "This isn't working for me anymore. I can't handle this defensiveness. You have to do something about it." And so, Cliff Notes, for about 20 years, I've been working on my defensiveness, and I feel pretty good about it. I feel actually like I'm really gotten control of how that works for me. Another little piece of the puzzle that I think is relevant here is that I'm an alcoholic in recovery. So I was a drinker until about 4 years ago. And for me, like quitting drinking was easier than giving up my real drug of choice, which is anger and resentment and defensiveness. So like when I think about my recovery process, I don't really think about alcohol anymore, but I do think about getting angry, getting defensive, like kind of letting myself run away with myself.
I have a question. I don't want to take you off of your trajectory.
That's
but
okay.
I'm
fine.
Like,
say that word again.
Really
I love it when you say this word. You don't want to take me off my what?
Trajectory.
My what?
Trajectory. Am I saying that incorrectly?
You like to say trajectory.
Trajectory.
Yeah. You got to put the R like right next to the T. Trajectory. Yeah.
Okay.
As I took you off your trajectory.
That's right. About 20 years ago, your wife came to you and said, I need you to get a handle on your defensiveness.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how did Zach Brittle, the man that I know, hear your wife's request and say, you know what, honey, you're right, which is the
I didn't say that.
Of defensiveness.
No, I didn't say that at all.
I should work on this.
No, I know exactly where I was. It was in a particularly acute moment in our marriage that needed real attention. And she basically said, I can't do this like this anymore. I can't do this like this anymore. I can do it a different way, but I can't do it like this. And she was serious. And she was like, you need to go to therapy. We need to go to therapy. She said, I'm willing to go to therapy, but something's got to change. And then she took Abby, who was 1 at the time, to her mom's, and she was there for 6 weeks. So she was like, I'm out. You got to figure out what's next for you. And it wasn't, there was a reason that she could and should have gone to her mom's for 6 weeks, but it was a stark enough, like, kind of punctuation in the moment that I didn't really have a chance to be like, who the hell do you think you are? Like, it was actually when she said the sentences, again, I know where I was standing, but the period of time was, probably a few months of real acute pain that we were navigating. And so, it was right after a baby was born. There was a whole bunch of other stress in our life. And it just shocked me. And I said, okay, and then I found a therapist who I loved. I still love him, but I don't see him anymore. I do also love my current therapist, but found this guy, Rich. His name was Rich. And we went to work. We just went to work on it. And he was fantastic. And by the way, I think if you're a person who is prone to derailing your relationship because of your own stuff, you get flooded too fast, or you're too, shy, or too insecure, or maybe you've got a past that has, unresolved trauma or whatever it is, I absolutely think the number one best thing you can do for your relationship is do individual work. I don't think there's any other path to relationship health that doesn't include you getting healthy yourself. So I learned that like 20 years ago, or at least began to learn that 20 years ago. I preach it to clients right now. I say, if your own sort of relational nature is in the way, you have to deal with your relational nature. Yeah. That if you don't, you will derail all relational couples therapy work. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Well said.
It's just facts, right? I got
that was
people
a
in my
mic drop,
office
by
and
the
they
way.
want, what's that?
Did you hear that? That was a mic drop.
Oh, right on.
It was my phone falling on the floor, but it sounded like a mic drop. Yeah.
No, I've got clients all the time who really want like to fix their partner. And if their partner would just pull it together, then they would be fine. And I'm like, I don't think that's the path, man. Like, because what if he never changes? What if she never changes? Yeah. You're still stuck with you.
Totally.
So why don't you take care of you, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty powerful. And I guess I was just wondering, like, what was it as a defensive person to hear your wife say, you need to get your shit together and figure out your defensiveness, or else I can't do this like this anymore. But I was literally like genuinely curious, what was the what people call like rock bottom for you, where you finally said, enough's enough. I will. Well,
it was my appreciation that Rebecca meant it, like that there were real consequences, that she was willing to follow through. Like people don't change. People don't change unless, the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of changing. And that's just a like fundamental reality. And so in a relationship, the relationship was, frankly, it was working for me. I got to be defensive. I got to run free. I got to kind of prioritize my work. I got to let her take care of the baby, and I just had the fun parts, and I was doing great. It was fine. I had no reason to change until she said, nope, this is not how this is going to go. And then she backed it up, and I was like, okay, I guess I better either decide to be fine with the way things are, or I can trust her to follow through. And she, she did in a minor way. And then we did in a major way when we all started to get the work, right? We actually I don't want to say we mortgaged our house, but we went into debt in order to be in therapy 3 times a week, once for me, once for her, once for us. And so we did that for about a year, and it was transformative. Then it took me another 15 years to quit drinking, but that's totally different part of the equation.
Okay. So that was all the
to
background.
Set up this argument that we had
right. Yeah.
about a month ago. So the context for that is we have been doing really good work together, the two of us, really kind of managing stress and strain, particularly imposed upon us by our children. I think the parenting of young adults is harder than the parenting of young children. And navigating the transition between children and adults has been especially challenging for us because our kids are unique. And I mean, all kids are unique, but they have imposed unique challenges for us that we weren't prepared for. And it strained our relationship with them. It strained our relationship with each other. And we got some good help. We actually went back into couples therapy, or not quite couples therapy. I would say it's more like parenting therapy for the last a lot of the last year. Then we stopped that. And then anyway, then it's June 1st, 2024.
Okay, I'm going to let you go because I have another question.
Go for it.
I'm just going to ask it.
Yeah, no, I'm ready.
Okay. You just brought up an interesting point, and it made me think about a little bit of what we were just talking about, which is you said that you guys went into, as a couple, sort of like parenting therapy, where I'm sure that the topic was probably like, what the hell do we do with this young adult? What do we do with like these 2 kiddos of ours?
Yep.
And I have a client that has a teenager, and the teenager is unwilling to get help for themselves. And at some point, I think in Washington State, where you're at, the age is like 14 of consent,
13.
where kids can say 13, I don't want to go to therapy. They have to be willing to do the work themselves. Parents can't force them to do it. And so it's one of those things where it's like, kind of like when you're in a relationship with your partner and you're saying, I just need you to fix yourself. And your partner's saying, I don't want to work on this. Right. Yep. So then the only thing you had, the only tool you had was to then work on your response to your child.
Exactly.
And getting your own therapist. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we had that exact same situation. We were like, get help. She was like, no. We're like, well, we're going crazy. So we need to get help. And so we did. We just got into an appointment with actually she was basically a teen therapist who was teaching us how to deal with teens in distress, right? Like, and modeling some stuff for us and kind of helping us understand that. So it was less of like I said, it was more of a couples. Anyway.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to say that because I'm seeing so many strings here that we can kind of pull together of what do you do when you look at your partner and you say, change, and your partner doesn't change? You go to therapy yourself and you figure out how to deal with your response to that.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on, please.
Anyway, so now it's June 1st and we're in the bedroom and we start this conversation and it's immediately off balance. There had been a couple of things that had kind of led up to that the week before, and that those are really not relevant because, like I said, I really want to talk about what happened after. So we get into this conversation. It's off balance. It doesn't feel good. It feels old. It feels like old versions of us.
Right.
But we can't get out. We can't get out. And so it takes less than 5 minutes, maybe more like 7. And then somewhere between minute 5 and minute 7, I go, fuck off. And I turn around and I walk out of the house and I do not come back for 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah. Right?
This is juicy.
Jay, you can beep that out if we need to, but
no, leave it. But
anyway, I slam the door. I leave. I come back physically to the house, but like emotionally, I don't come back at all. Like I am gone. So I'm in the house, but we are on this because I got to change my clothes and I got to shower and I got to go to work and, we have this really delicate, like kind of balance of like not speaking to each other, but like kind of being polite so that the kids aren't impacted. It was a really weird thing. But here's what I want to talk about. Like, I haven't felt that defensive and angry in years. And I certainly haven't acted that way. I haven't behaved in a way like that might have been pretty par for the course, like in my younger life. Like that wouldn't have been unusual, but this was the first time in like at least, half a dozen years that I have done anything of that sort. And I'm not proud of it. And I'm not celebrating that it happened, but I got really, really curious about it. And so what I'm interested in is like, what lesson is there for people who not about the fight, but about after the fight, because there's, and so this is where I want you and I to bat it around a little bit, because I can tell you what I did and kind of how it probably was about 48 hours exactly before the two of us got back together and said what went down there. But I don't know. I just want to speculate about that a little bit. And I wonder if anything comes up for you right now, or do you want me to just keep talking?
Yeah. No, immediately the question that I have for you is, my couples, this happens all the time where they have the blow up fight. Uh-huh. But the question I have is, did you and Rebecca already have I would say like an alignment in the way in which you managed each other after the fight? Because what I see in my practice is the mismatch where one person is completely like, I need 48 hours. I need a process. I need you to leave me the F alone. I need to just pretend like everything's fine while I'm, trying to sort myself out. And the other person is like, can we fix this? Can we talk about it? Can we, it's like the pursuer distancer that occurs. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering if the two of you felt like you were actually pretty aligned in the way in which you were after the fight.
Okay. Helpful question. I would say yes, in this way. I had to go, and Rebecca understood that I had to go. She did not chase me. She didn't pursue me. She texted me a couple of times to like see kind of if I was okay, and like kind of some polite things like, do you need me to, make dinner? Like, what's your plan for dinner? Little things like that, but not like, when are you coming back? Where are you? What's going on?
Right. Right.
She also understood, I think, to her credit, like she needed to leave me alone. Like when I came back to the house and we were there, I was like, I would go up on the couch and do a crossword puzzle, and she would just let me be up there. The first night I didn't speak to her at all, and she woke up the next morning and was leaving the house, and she's like, bye. And I was like, bye. I was really terse, and she understood that was not an invitation to repair. That was still, right. So I would say, yes, we were aligned in this way. I think if we broke any agreement, one that we have established is that if we need to take a break, we just say so. Like, I'll be like, hey, I gotta go. I'll be back later. Just give me a half an hour. I'll be fine. Something like that. Because I am a fan. I do think withdrawal is important. I think withdrawal is okay. I think stonewalling is okay when it's explicit. Right. When it's not explicit, it's just punitive, which it definitely was for me in this situation. I was definitely like punishing Rebecca for what was functionally her role in the argument. So did we have an agreement? I think, yes, we had one that was sort of like an understood or implied agreement. We also violated an explicit agreement, or I did anyway, which was the whole, like, I'm going to let you know what's going on for me. I really did not have anything to say for a little while. And I could tell you about that too. But is there more questions?
No, I mean, that was kind of the first question, which I'm just thinking, like, you guys have many years together. How many years have you been together? 30?
27 this summer.
Okay. Together, dating.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, we met in 95, so maybe 29, like in terms of like when we met.
Yeah. So you have had enough time together where you understand kind of I would say the agreements that you have with one another, which is she understands that you need to take time to yourself to process. And she understands that she needs to give you that time to be able to process.
I think we have come to understand the dance. Like, we have a very clear awareness of what the dance is. Yeah. And that, when one or both of us sort of changes the music, then it's a pretty jarring. But I think we rebound pretty fast. Again, this was longer. 48 hours is pretty long for us to be in some kind of, disrepair.
Yeah. That's the first step that I was wondering is like with people who are listening is, do you know what your partner needs in those moments? And are you willing to honor it? And if you haven't had that conversation or if you haven't had enough blowouts to recognize the dance, then use this as an opportunity to turn to your partner and say, hey, if we ever had a big blow up, what do you think you would need in order, like post blow up? If we were in disconnection, what is it that you would need? What is it that I would need? And then when that thing happens, you honor it rather than trying to do something different.
Yeah. And I think that comes from like being literally authentically curious. I think I told you last time about how I have this thing right now about how do carrier pigeons work. Yeah. I'm not really talking about it anymore, but like it's the sound of me saying that is like this. How do carrier pigeons work? And I think you need to do that too with like stuff in your relationship. How does your defensiveness work?
Yeah.
How does conflict work for you? What's it like for you when we blow up and we don't reconnect? Like what's going on for you there? Like not what's going on for you there, or why are you so defensive? It's more like what's going on for you? I think we need to learn how to have that around like actual relational dynamics.
Yeah.
And maybe this podcast is a way that you do that. Like, what would you have done? What would you have done in that situation? Like, what's going on? Like that.
Yeah.
That's a fine way to have that. By the way, another resource that helps you do that is this book that I'm always recommending, which is Alain de Botton's book, The Course of Love, is a great way to like pay attention to somebody else's story and then decide, what do you think about that? Like, it's really, really fantastic. I listened to it again a couple of days ago. Okay. So I left the house. This
was after the F off moment.
Yeah,
F off.
I slammed the door. I leave the house. I'm in my slippers. And luckily I have my wallet in my pocket. I got my slippers and my wallet. I took no time to leave the house. I just walked out, got in my car.
I'm laughing because your slippers don't look any different from your normal shoes. Like,
right. But I don't have, my options are limited basically. So I go to this like little town near us, and I start walking around the farmer's market, and I just kind of looking around, and then I sit down and I eat lunch, and there's a soccer game I want to watch on TV. So I dial it up on my phone and I watch the first half. Then I go home and I watch the second half, and then I leave again because I couldn't enjoy it on the phone. It was in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. So I had to come home and watch it in English. And then I leave again.
I don't speak Spanish.
That whole process though is the process of de-escalating, right? If you think about the in the Gottman method, when it comes to conflict management, there's two primary skills: de-escalate and repair. Incidentally, not resolve, right? So resolve is not on the list; it's de-escalate and repair. So I had to de-escalate. It took me a while because I was embarrassed. I was angry at myself. I was upset with her and some of what she actually contributed. And I had to kind of just come down. I had to come off of the high, the adrenaline rush, frankly, of kind of tapping into my old addictions, basically. And then, kind of the day closes, we go about our own business. We sleep in different rooms. Wake up the next day. Like I said, she says hi. I say hi. She leaves. Then I spend the second day really, this is a new part that I'm really proud of, thinking about what happened, why did it happen, most importantly, what was going on for me, and when did it start? And so like I told you, the argument was on June 1st, but I think I can tell you that like it started like May 23rd.
A week prior.
Yeah, maybe a little shorter. It might have been Tuesday. So 23, 4, 5. But I was able to sit back and go, this started for me 5-6 days ago. And that was new. And I think profound and transformative, again, because I was thinking about me, not her, and was thinking about like kind of, okay, what happened on that Tuesday? And what was the thing on that Tuesday? And was it even related to Rebecca? And no, it wasn't. But like I literally spent about a day just kind of walking through like what was going on for me. And Laura, what I want to tell you is that was so fun.
Sure.
It was fun because I felt empowered to own my shit in a way that was like, felt like maturity. It felt like insight. It felt like real growth. And it felt like, I get this, like I understand it. And because I removed Rebecca from the process of it, it was more like she was this like secondary character in the same way that some traffic was, and some of my client work was, and some stuff that was going on. I mean, it was, so it was really cool. And so I guess if I want to emphasize a second thing, if the first thing is de-escalate and just kind of come down inside of your own body, the second one is really commit to reflection. Like, what is the reflection here that I can be in charge of?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts. One is 100%. We can definitely segue into an entire different podcast about this idea, but I want to know a little bit more about how you actually did that. Obviously, you've grown. You have taken on your own personal growth in the last 20 years, 15 years. But something happened for you. And I think maybe step one, which I really appreciate that you keep harping on this, is de-escalation. Like, you never would have been able to get to that place where you said, now I'm ready to be thoughtful. Yeah. Unless you had taken the time to self-soothe. Well,
and I certainly couldn't have done that if Rebecca was chasing me. If she was like, Are you ready to talk? Are you ready to talk? Are you ready to talk? Or where are you going? Or this isn't fair. And why did you say that? And it's not, and I don't like it when you curse at me. Like, I would never have gotten to reflect the reflective part.
Right. Yeah.
Which means it wouldn't have happened, which means the argument would have happened again, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just really, it's exactly right. Like, you have to de-escalate and then get to the part where you're actually reflecting.
Going to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
So here's the other question that I had, which is, how did you come to a place where you said, I'm not going to focus on Rebecca. I'm not going to focus on what she did, but instead I'm just going to think about myself. I'm curious, like, how you actually did that.
I think that's actually the byproduct of good therapeutic work and good recovery work. Like, I didn't like fully embrace the 12-step program, but at the heart of the 12-step program is like, how do you own your own stuff in the process of making amends for your behavior? And then, of course, I've been with my current therapist, Sarah, for 5 years or so. And I really do try to channel her. I'm like, okay, what if I'm sitting there and I'm explaining this to her, like, what is the invitation? What is the provocation that she would, initiate for me? So like, we're a good team in that way, because I can kind of channel her. And maybe if I have couples all the time who are like, what would Zach say? They're trying to like channel Zach or maybe channel Laura at home. And I think that's wise. I think you ought to do that.
Yeah.
Terry talks about how the role of the therapist is to be the client's healthy brain. Shoot, I can't think of it. Prefrontal cortex, basically. Like, we are the client's prefrontal cortex. So you might need to channel the wise people in your life. So my sponsors, my therapist, and that's what I did. I didn't write anything down. I didn't like meditate on it. I just kind of lived my life and was thinking through, and, chronology helped. I was kind of trying to kind of count backwards through some things. And then eventually I got to a part where I was like, and let me see if I can remember what Rebecca said. And was she right? Like, were there things that she was saying that were true and that were, that I needed to absorb, because I couldn't do it when I was wound up. Right. And even that was helpful, like to kind of channel her and to go, oh, she actually has a point there. And I always had a counterpoint. I definitely had a counterpoint to all of her points, but I just kind of gave that up because I wasn't arguing with anybody but myself. Like, it wasn't going to do any good. So that was Sunday. By Sunday, we had reached kind of a tertiary peace, and we were friendly, and she made dinner and I ate it, in a different room or something. I put my headphones on to watch my show. So that's kind of the signal to everybody that just leave me alone, because I'm watching a show and I don't want to talk to you. And then I got up the next day and I went to work. So I went to work. This is Monday now. And I went to my client. Into my client day. And I actually really was like kind of on a little bit of a high, because I was feeling like I had navigated some really good stuff. I was still in disrepair with Rebecca, but I was on a little bit of like I'm doing some good work. And I think I channeled that a little bit and I kind of pushed it into them. And then I had this break in the middle of my day and I finally just wrote Rebecca. This is generally how we break the détente, is I will write her. I'm a very good writer. I have a lot of ability to put my thoughts and feelings. And I basically just wrote her a bullet pointed list. And I said, here's where my head's been at for the last couple of days. And it's not really worth going in it. I can just tell you that the kind of the first and last thing on the list were I'm not proud of my behavior. I'm interested in repair. I'm ready to do that at your discretion. But I sort of took her part out of it, knowing that if I was going to talk to her about her part, I needed an invitation. I needed her to say, I will hear about my part too. Because the other thing is, you can't tell somebody how they've upset you if they're not willing to receive it. Like you can't
say that again. I think that's pretty
meaning
powerful.
if I led with, or again, if she had chased me, or again, if I had chased her, if I had led with, here's what you did that upset me, and she wasn't open enough or ready enough to receive that, it's going to be in vain.
Right.
So I just said, I will own all my stuff. I will own what I can own, and I will invite the repair conversation, and trusting, and I do trust Rebecca in this way, that she would also be able to say, and I can own my part too, which I needed to talk about because it was important, but I couldn't do it until she was ready, till she gave me permission, basically.
Do you think that like what you said is, and I think this is true in a lot of relationships, is that there's primarily one person, regardless of how the conversation went, the disrepair, there's usually one person who is the initiator of repair in the relationship, where it's like, hey, I just wanted to initiate this conversation. I want to check in on you. Are you ready to talk about it yet? I find that usually in our relationship between Ryan and I, it's usually him. He's the one that is initiating more often. With couples that come into my practice, the complaint is I want for my partner to take on some responsibility in initiating. So I guess one question I have for you is, you made it sound as if you're usually the one that initiates.
I don't think I am usually the one that initiates. I think the one that breaks the game is the one that fixes the game, usually for us. Because I was the one who
stormed out,
punctuated the argument. I was the one who would have needed to come back. And I think that's the pattern that we've fallen into, is that if it's not, and if I'm hurt enough, I'm better at stonewalling, I'm better at withdrawal, that I will wait her out and she will come back to me. It's not again, it's not something I'm especially proud of, but like if one of us is actually what I would say is, I don't know if this is really fair to Rebecca, but I think if she repairs, it's usually because she understands that I'm going to wait her out. If I repair, it's usually because I've done really thoughtful work in response to I don't know if that's really true, but what I would say is there's not probably a primary. I think it's kind of a case by case thing in our family.
Okay. I was just curious about that.
So she got my email and she received it. She said, I'm ready anytime. I'll talk to you anytime, which was really great. She is a person who is wired for grace, so I understood that to be real. And then, so later that night, after everything kind of the dust settled, we had I came home from work, we hugged, we hadn't had a conversation, but at least we had a kind of a truce that we had called. We had dinner together, kids went away, and then we sat down and we kind of talked it out. And I think if there's just maybe one more piece that I think is valuable here, what we ended up coming to was back to this idea of what the dynamic in our house is. We had figured out pretty well how to manage living in the house with Mary, the 17-year-old, in a way that we were able to stay sane. Abby had come home on the 22nd of May, which was about 8 days before the argument. And I think what we agreed was that the new dynamic shifted our capacity and ability to be on our best behavior. And started to chip away at what we both would acknowledge as our sanity, kind of chipped away at our sanity. And so when with 27 years of experience, what we have come to understand is that when Rebecca goes insane, I respond with a little bit of insanity. And then she responds to my insanity by escalating a little bit and becoming a little bit more insane. And then I become a little bit more insane. And then our insanity is competing with each other. And it drives it up. It drives us up into these moments where on June 1st, I end up saying something completely insane. I'm like, fuck off. And sane people don't do that. And, and we were able just to acknowledge that it's not Abby's fault. That's not it at all. It's more like the dynamic shifted. She became a little more mommy. I became a little more daddy. or husband, whatever it is, that dynamic could also go under a microscope. We could analyze it forever. But, we made each other insane, which is old, easy feeling. And we just sort of acknowledged that it was a really unfortunate mismanagement of our energy and of our attention that got away with itself. Again, for me, I can sort of point to sort of the beginning of the sort of the crisis for me, or the argument for me, which was about 5 or 6 days beforehand. So we disagreed. It was sort of a chicken and egg thing. And and we were both able to own it. Neither one of us had to eat crow. We were both able to sort of say, I'm sorry, let's be aware of it next time. Let's try and bail out earlier than we need to. And, today is the 27th of June. So we've had 3 weeks or so since that whole thing. And we've been doing pretty good. We've just kind of, we've just been kind of leveling it. I will say I had to add this one part. I did have to add this because I'm petty in this way. We agreed together that it was the chicken and the egg situation. It was a chicken and egg situation. We kind of agreed that.
Yeah.
And then right before it was over, I said, but I'm pretty sure you're the chicken.
Yeah, you would.
Which was at that point funny. It was representative of our repair work. It was right. It was couched in intimacy and affection. I am pretty sure she's the chicken, but it also is the least relevant part of the process. For me, because for me, the process was really about just getting over myself, getting back to sanity. So
I like
that's my story.
I like it. I like it a lot. 100%. It's really been fun in the last 10 years being on the outskirts of you kind of doing your work and having it evolve, doing your defensive work, doing your recovery work, doing your work with Sarah, and seeing how it's starting to play out in not only in your relationship with Rebecca, but also between the two of us. And just you're a different dude.
Yeah.
But the thing that I was imagining was how, and this is probably a whole nother, we should probably end and land this, but I was just thinking about how you were able, rather than falling into this shame spiral that a lot of people get into of, I just said F off to my wife. This is an old me version that I think I am better than. I have overcome it and now it's showing up again. And a lot of people dip into this shame spiral, which ends up being a bit of a double down. You're doubly stuck now. And for some reason, you were able to crawl out of that relatively quickly and do some really good work. And I don't know. That's a piece that I was listening to and I'm like, oh man, how did you do that? That's amazing. Yeah. That's really great.
Well, here's the thing. Thank you for letting me talk about this on the podcast. Yeah. I hope it's helpful to couples. I realize that I have some advantages that a lot of couples don't have. One is I have 27 years of experience. 2, I've done consistent personal work for about 20 years. 3 is I practice every day in my office with clients.
Yeah.
People say, you must have a perfect marriage. I go, no, I don't have a perfect marriage, but I don't have any excuses because I understand, I don't get to say, I don't know how to do this. So I got to say, I know how to do this. I also have older children who aren't begging for my attention and needing me to drive them places and feed them and get it. So when you have more familial responsibilities in the flow, and you don't have the freedom to leave your house emotionally for 2 days, I get that it can be really hard. But if the principles hold up, de-escalate, self-reflect, repair, acknowledge that it's usually some other third thing that either the insanity or the new element. If the principles hold up, then you can just start to practice them. But I certainly couldn't do this 20 years ago. But it's really, like I said, it's really fun to be able to do it now. And that's where I think if it's hopeful for people, then we did our job, which is great.
Yeah, me too. Well, I thought it was very cool hearing about this. I keep thinking I wonder if I could share about a fight that Ryan and I have, but I don't know if I don't have 27 years of experience. So I don't know if I would be able to add the same value, but thank you for your vulnerability. Thank Rebecca for you speaking on her behalf. Maybe we can get the two of you on the podcast. I think that the game plan is to release that on Patreon where we get to meet Rebecca, and had the two of you talk about your relationship, and we get to hear her point of view, what it's like to be married to Zach Brittle. Whoa.
Yeah. It might be interesting to hear her talk about this fight, actually, because she had her own process that she obviously had to go through, and that was, which I have heard about, but I wonder how she would explain it to you.
Huh. All right. Well, why don't we do that, and we'll get Rebecca's point of view, because that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, then let's land this plane. Adios. We'll see you another time. I hope your swimming's going well. Yeah.
I swam today.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. We mentioned actually having Rebecca on the podcast, Zach and Rebecca. I would love to have Ryan, my husband, on the podcast as well. We're doing some fun things that are kind of exclusive to our Patreon network. So if you're interested in becoming a supporter of Marriage Therapy Radio, hop onto our website. It's marriagetherapyradio.com. There's a tab at the top that says Patreon. And from there, you can become a participant in sort of the exclusive things that are happening behind the scenes for as much or as little as you wish to contribute. It just helps us to keep the lights on, and we appreciate you. We want to continue to do what we love to do. So thanks for all of your time and your attention, making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.